What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're here to talk about Grand Party, which is actually going to be going live tomorrow as of the recording of this video. So before the Grand Party actually goes live, I wanted to give you guys a bit of a rundown in terms of what you should be expecting moving forward, and I'll also show you guys two team compositions and just a couple of tips that some of the community have been kind of brewing since the initial release of Grand Party. So hopefully this video does go on to help you guys out. So this Pirate Rumble or Grand Party event is going to be going until December 4th. So remember, you got to play every single day, log in, do your 3 matches, and kind of hope that you get those victories, right? But it's more specifically that I think it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of plays out, but we have a new rule set for this Grand Party season. Now, in the previous season, it was obviously focused around strength, slasher, free spirits, psi units as well. It was very, very evident in terms of what characters you would really want to be bringing. This time around, we can see that int characters get level 8 attack, Dex get level 5 speed, Powerhouse level 5 CT speed, Driven HP level 5, and then if you have your leader on your crew during the match, then the Powerhouse characters will receive level 4 defense up, and then obviously when there's 30 seconds or less, there's going to be CT speed up and damage increase to all sides. So this is interesting because this is what you probably want to focus on, because these are pretty substantial buffs. And remember, if you got a character, let's say, is int, driven, and powerhouse, you get the attack, CT, and the HP up for that one character. So you can see that this has, quite the possibility to be very game-changing, right? So you probably want to be building your teams with these rule sets in mind, as it's going to give you more of an advantage moving forward. But remember, you're not only going to have access to these rule changes, your opponents will also as well. So it means that there's a very high likelihood that we're going to see even more like really annoying int-driven teams or int powerhouse teams, which I'm not really looking forward to because those teams are pretty tricky to take down. So it's going to be interesting to see how this season unfolds, really. So with all that being said, that's really all I really wanted to touch upon before we actually jumped into team compositions, of course. And remember, you want to reach 15 wins to get all of the rewards, but at least for the first couple of times, for the first couple of wins, you'll at least get to get guaranteed wins pretty much. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty rough Grand Party season. So let's go ahead and jump over to Grand Party right now and show you what is cooking up in the community. So as we all know, Goldie Roger was pretty fantastic in the first season with his amazing GP skill that allowed you to halve the stats of your opponents, fix damage to all targets as well, and with your slasher team or your side team with the halved stats in mind, you could pretty much KO everything in the game. It was extremely overpowered. However, with the introduction of these new rule sets, this strategy, I think it's still going to be viable, but you have to be careful in terms of who you're coming up against, because those additional effects on the opposing team can definitely be an issue. Because remember, previously we had the additional CT increase, I believe, to Psi or Slashers or whatever it was. So some of the teams that were really good last month may not be as efficient this month around. But let's go ahead and have a look at the team setup. Now, a lot of people are going to see this straight away and wonder, why haven't we filled out the rest of the team? So this is where some research has been going in with the community in terms of Grand Party and how it actually functions. Now, I have heard this from a couple of different individuals, one from one of my Alliance members, Akainu86. I know that Chaozu also discussed this recently as well on his YouTube channel. Also was brought up on a Japanese YouTuber's YouTube channel named Snowman. So all of those individuals, I'll leave their links down below in the video description. But essentially how it goes is that if you run a team with not as many characters on it, which ultimately lowers your combat power, when you enter Grand Party, you have a higher chance to, land opponents that are not going to be as strong. Because if you are filling out all of your crew, then you're going to have a high likelihood of running into people with heavy investments, right? Characters with, level 150 and even more rumble abilities active. Whereas if you have characters that, aren't as leveled up, and you have a full squad of them, you have a higher chance of landing those characters, which are much easier to take down. Remember, the new rule set is going to change a lot of things here, so don't count this as the end-all be-all way to actually play Grand Party, but this is what people have been testing. I know that some individuals were just literally running a team with just one character on it to lower their combat score even more. I don't know if that actually works. We'll have to wait and see how the season unfolds. But of course, this is a team with Goldie Roger. Now, many people already know what Goldie Roger does. Remember, you do need to use Rumble Scrolls to level up their GP skill and their leader skill, so make sure to do that beforehand. Otherwise, you'll enter the Grand Party and you're not going to have your skills, which is very, very important. But what Roger does, he gives side characters, attack HP level 6. He gives CT speed up also to level 3, and then slashers receive attack and defense 3, speed guard up level 6. So it's a pretty decent Rumble GP leader skill, but of course the issue is that it only really boosts 2 different types of characters, so the amount of teams that you can build with it is pretty minimal. But then obviously the skill is probably the most broken skill in GP right now, which you can launch twice per quest after receiving 55,000 damage. You can target all enemies for 2,500 fixed damage and 100% chance of halving their stats for 20 seconds. An incredibly busted ability. So obviously the strategy here is to have our first team, which is an extremely bulky Dex team, which is not like a team that we usually use, but we have Blackbeard for health cuts. Queen is extremely bulky and can action bind, which is pretty great. We have Dalton as well, who is a pretty phenomenal character. We've also got Cat Viper, which is one of the best Dex offensive units. We have Luffy for additional bulk, and then Doflamingo at the back. If someone gets knocked out after the Luffy revive, he'll come in and do some pretty good damage, and especially when we have a character such as Blackbeard who can provide significant health cuts. We're hoping to get a couple knockouts, maybe secure a victory, which would be awesome. And obviously in the earlier matches, we'll be able to find, hopefully, any quick teams, which that team should be able to take on. Now, obviously, after the fact, you will want to be running Psy units or a Slasher team so that Roger actually boosts them. So we're going to be using the Slasher team second. Ideally, we have the skill of Roger's Burst here to enable the Slasher team to just instantly win. Now, there is a little bit of a difference. In the previous season, due to the rules giving buffs to Psy, Slasher, etc., Kizaru was a very good choice, launched very quickly, did a lot of damage. This time around, because Int and Driven both receive pretty significant buffs, like Int get level 8 attack, and I think Driven get level 5 HP, if I remember correctly. Yes, they do. So that means Doflamingo is going to get level 8 attack up, so he's going to be hitting extremely hard against opposing teams. K-Dad, Cracker for additional CT, and then Roger Whitebeard and Odin, which is pretty typical for a Slasher team. And then the side team here, we've got some pretty awesome characters, specifically like Kuzan. He's going to be nice if we're up against any Int or strength-based teams. Kuzan can debuff them. We've got Law, which debuffs Powerhouse, and also Driven characters. Yamato, Odin, they do a lot of damage, and then Roger, because we need him for the leader skill. So that's the way that this team works, and hopefully the research that some of the individuals have done in the community enables teams such as this that aren't fully invested, that only have 5 of the 8 characters available on the teams. Hopefully it enables you to find more accessible opponents to secure victories. So now looking forward to the next team. This team is a team that is mainly focused on the new rule set, being to Int, Dex, Powerhouse, Driven. Those are the characters that you mainly want to be looking at. Now with Uta, this is going to be our leader. She actually provides buffs to Psy, Int, and Powerhouse characters. So she gives Sign Int characters crit percent up, speed up 3, and special CT speed up level 2, which is very good. And then Driven class teammates get attack HP 6, defense 3. So it's a very good leader skill. However, the GP burst of this character can only actually be launched once per quest, so you do have to be very careful when you launch it. But the effect is very powerful, targeting 2 enemies for 4,000 fixed damage up to 3 times. This is absurd damage that you get from this, and you can really use it at the right time to just blow away the opposing side, literally getting multiple KOs straight off the bat. So, if you're about to be KO'd, you can launch it and hopefully lands on the right character to just knock them out so you don't take as much damage. So realistically, you could use this on a team that maybe isn't as bulky as what you'd really want, but it is dependent on, what opponents you're going up against. I do need to level this up, by the way, because I do kind of want to test this team out in the GP. But in terms of that, we have an int-driven powerhouse-ish team here for the Team 1. Now, all the characters here receive pretty much all the buffs. Like, if they're int, they get the attack up, which is all of them. If they're powerhouse, they get CT speed up, which is all of them except for Kid and Yamato. But if they're driven, which those two are, they'll get level 5 HP. So this team seems pretty reasonable. Once again, it is only going to have 5 of the 8 characters available. The Blackbeard slot, I'm not 100% sure on. That could be replaced with a lot of different characters, but Blackbeard seems like a pretty reasonable choice because he does have a very good rumble ability. Level 5 attack and HP to int, powerhouse get defense and speed level 5. It just works really well with the rest of the squad. Now remember, Uta does give boost to Psy units as well, which is why we're using a relatively bulky Psy team. This time, instead of using Goldie Roger on the team, we're going to be using Eneru, which just provides additional bulk. So that's a pretty nice team as well. Kuzan does damage, Yamato does damage, Odin does damage, and then Law is obviously for CT and debuffing on the opposing side. Now remember that Uta does provide buffs to powerhouse characters, so this was the powerhouse team that I was thinking of, but honestly, looking at it, you could probably just replace that final team with just about anything. You know, it doesn't have to receive the buffs from Uta. You could run whatever you want. Another team I was thinking of is potentially like a quick driven powerhouse team with characters like Super Type Kaido versus Akainu, characters along that line, even like Tezora, for example. You can run a pretty strong quick team in this meta with this new rule set, just due to the fact that Driven get an HP buff and Powerhouse gets CT speed up level 5, which is pretty powerful. So, you know, it is what it is, but this fighter team is pretty strong. It does a lot of damage, it's relatively bulky, and the fact that Powerhouse characters get level 5 CT speed up in this season means that this team will be able to launch their specials a lot faster than previous seasons. So having characters such as Katakuri hit extremely hard, characters like Jack and also Jinbei to apply health cuts and also debuffs to the opposing side very quickly, and hopefully with Who's Who being able to launch damage through defense is incredibly powerful, and ulti also hits very hard. So I think this team could be okay, but again, we'll have to wait and see, and hopefully this strategy of only having 5 of the 8 available characters actually does work in finding, you know, opposing teams that potentially aren't as strong as what we saw from Season 1. So with all that being said, hopefully this gives you guys a bit of information in terms of what we should be doing moving forward in Grand Party. And of course, when Grand Party does go live, I will be making sure to upload a video every single day on Grand Party to give you guys a rundown on my opponents and my own teams, just like what we did in the first season. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we're able to secure, you know, more than 13 victories, which is what I got in Season 1. But hopefully we can get some good stuff moving forward. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.